Your mileage may vary. So,
I don't understand how anyone can hate that. If you hate that, I mean, you hate Judaism. You liked watered-down, sugar-coated Judaism, and it's probably heretical. It's probably not even Judaism. It's some offshoot.
okay, there we go.
There we go.
Next point.
Next point. I saw this on your blog, and I wanted to comment on it. I was thinking I could write it, and then you could post it, and I was like, no, let's just talk about it, because I have a feeling tonight we're going to be doing a lot of talk. Why did I think this? But there was some reason. Oh, yeah, I know why. We're going to be talking a lot tonight, I figure, about the homosexual act. And all of this. It's all seems to be happening right now.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff going on with this. So let's just get to it, okay?
Yeah.
I saw on your blog that you wrote that you quoted Dennis Prager. And Dennis Prager said something, and you played off of it like it's 100% true, which I told you need to stop doing. Because you're not even talking about Judaism. Your blog is like a blog for Reform Judaism. That's where you're at right now. You're spewing out Reform heretical crap. You wrote, in quoting him, that the Torah doesn't prohibit the lesbian act. And you went on and on and on, hypothesizing why God's okay with lesbians. And I'm just like, what? To say the Torah doesn't prohibit lesbianism is patently false.
Okay, so where does the Torah prohibit lesbianism?
Okay, you want to get to that? I have to put my glasses because I wrote it all down, but that guy's safe. Let's go for it. It is specifically prohibited. There's a couple places. First of all, it's specifically prohibited from the rabbis. Just the act alone is prohibited by the rabbis. I said, because the Torah says, if a man is with a man, it's an abomination. It's an outright abomination. It's punishable by the most severe form of the death penalty. Okay, if it's woman and woman, they don't have that act they can do, right? So there's no death penalty, and it's not an abomination. It's not a toeva. It's not an abomination. However, it's not kosher. The specific act of the lesbian act, whatever that is, right?
Well, there are varieties of it.
I know, but I'm thinking whatever that is, right? Let's not go.
Should we outline what the
We may have to discuss. We may
experience?
have to break it down. Okay, what constitutes actual lesbian act? Because the male act is defined as that which is like the male and woman together, the man and woman together, right? So when the man penetrates another man somehow, right?
Yeah.
So then that's the act, right? But the woman, she would need like a strap-on or a dong, some sort of a double dong or something like that, to some sort of dildo or something to penetrate. If it was like a 1-for-1, right? Yeah. But so obviously it's not that. So it would theoretically be anything that goes on between the two of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. It could be like what do they call it, 68 or whatever like that.
69.
No, 69's with a guy.
No, you can do girls do 69.
No, there's no body part. That's anatomic. You can't do that.
Okay, so pretend this is the woman on the bottom here, and this is the woman on the top.
That's 68. That's 68.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Because they're missing that one thing. Okay, so what are we saying here? So the rabbis came in, the sages came in Midrabanan. They said even anything that goes on between two women falls under that same prohibition. Okay, so Midrabanan, and anything that is Midrabanan is from the rabbis has the power of being considered, quote unquote, from Torah. Now, in addition to that, this is very important. There's a couple other verses that you need to know that it falls under. There's if a person has sex, let's say, with just another person, like you have sex with some woman, and you're not married to her. Yeah. What's that? That's not like adultery or anything, but is that okay? Is that okay to do?
No, it's forbidden.
Forbidden according to one of the 613. Which one? Well, that's a question. That's a machlokes. That's an argument. One is it's considered an Isser Lav. You know, it's a forbidden one of the things. There shall not be any promiscuous man. There shall not be any promiscuous woman among the Jewish people. That's in Devarim 23:18. Look it up. So if that doesn't matter, if you have sex with a woman or she has sex with another woman, in addition to the fact that it's forbidden to have lesbianism sex, on its own, just the fact that she's being promiscuous with another human being, that falls into that. Okay? The Ramban learns it from a different one in Vayeira 19:29 of no immorality. They should have no immorality amongst men or amongst anybody, right? Yeah. Amongst people. So it depends where you learn it from, but there's two separate verses. One or the other, lesbianism tramples on. So for you to put on your blog that God's okay with it is retarded. Stop quoting that retard Dennis Prager and his heresies. He's an ignoramus who spews heresy continually, and you need to sever yourself from him. Otherwise, LukeFord.net is a repository and a forum for heresy and morons.
Okay, now my turn.
Go ahead.
So the post where I was quoting from Dennis Prager saying that the Torah does not prohibit lesbianism as it does prohibit the male homosexual act. Dennis was talking about just the 5 books of Moses. He wasn't talking about the whole of the rabbinic tradition. So just as the Rashbam and the Rambam and the Ramban did commentaries on the specific meaning of the 5 books of Moses, just the plain meaning of those verses, so too Dennis was tackling the plain meaning of the 5 books of Moses. Trying to remember...
Can I comment on that right there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I comment on that right there? Bunk. This is crap. This is the problem right here in a nutshell. I was thinking about this. You've just separated the oral Torah from the written Torah.
Yeah.
You've separated and said, oh, we're just talking about the written Torah on its own. The written Torah was never meant to be learned on its own. And learning the written Torah on its own, without the oral Torah, without Rashi, without Rambam, without Ramban, without the Talmud, is the first steps to heresy. Because you will walk away many times with the absolute opposite meanings of what these verses are about. Judaism is not a biblical religion. I have said it before and I will say it again. And this is not something that oh, that's a rabbi. This is Judaism 101. Judaism 101 is that Judaism is a Talmudic religion. And it's based on the oral Torah. To sit there and take the written Torah on its own, deny and without regard to the oral Torah, has nothing to do with Judaism, and it should be ignored. I seriously have a hard time with the fact that you call yourself, you know, your moral leader and involved with, you know, Torah learning, and you're doing this. You've got to stop. You cannot quote written Torah without the Meforshim, without the commentaries. And to say, well, he's not talking about the commentaries means he's not talking about Judaism.
Okay, well, first of all, the post wasn't about what does Judaism have to say about lesbianism. The post was, again, very narrow about what does 5 books of Moses have to say about lesbianism. Now, a study of the plain meaning of the text of the 5 books of Moses, without regard to the oral tradition, occupied many of the great medieval minds of the Jewish community, such as the Rambam, who wrote, and the Rashbam, who wrote a very literal commentary on just the 5 books of Moses, without regard to the rabbinic tradition, trying to uncover the plain meaning of those words just in the 5 books of Moses. So, like, you may regard the Rashbam as heretical, but you'd be pretty alone there. There's a whole string of great Jewish medieval commentators trying to uncover the plain meaning of the text of the 5 books of Moses without regard and without deference to the rabbinic tradition. So Prager is following in a long line of Jewish commentary trying to uncover the plain meaning of the text. Now, there are many meanings of text, and the rabbinic tradition is...
Where do you get